Hey, I'm Becky and welcome to Kids Worship this morning. We are here to worship, sing, and learn all about God's big story. You know, God's big story is all about love. He made this beautiful place that we call Earth, and He sent His prophets and angels to His people so that they could hear His special messages. And when people were separated from God by their sin, He sent His Son, Jesus, so that we could be forgiven. God wants us to be friends with Him and invite Him into our hearts. We love because He loved us first. And the Bible tells us all about God's unending love and how He wants to be with us forever. We all get to be a part of God's big story. This month, we are starting a new series called Now That's a Miracle. And we're going to hear all about how Jesus was all about love and He was incredibly powerful. We'll see how nature listens to His command and how He did things that seemed impossible, like cure the sick and feed people with almost no food. Everywhere Jesus went, people were changed just by being around Him. So as you listen to these stories this month, I want you to think about how you have seen Jesus show up in your life too. And remember, our God is a miracle worker who will stop at nothing to know us, to love us, and to be with us.
Sing Fear Not. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I've called you by name, you are mine. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I've called you by name, you are mine. If you're scared of the dark, I'll be your guiding light. If the floodwaters come, they won't wash you aside. If you're caught in a storm, I'm a safe place to hide. Don't be afraid, I am with you. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I've called you by name, you are mine. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I've called you by name, you are mine. And if you need a friend, oh, I won't let you down. If you feel the earth shaking, I'm your solid ground. If you're feeling alone and like no one's around, don't be afraid, I am with you. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I've called you by name, you are mine. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I've called you by name, you are mine. Don't you forget that I made you. Don't believe that you're not enough. I'll never leave or forsake you. Try to remember my love. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I've called you by name, you are mine. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I've called you by name, you are mine. I have called you by name, you are mine. I have called you by name, you are mine. Sing from the top of my head. From the top of my head, way, way down to my toes. I can't keep it all inside. I want to jump with all my might. From the top of my head, way, way down to my toes. I can't keep it all inside. I want to dance with all my might. And everybody everywhere, raise your hands up in the air and say, Jesus, top of my head, way, way down to my toes. I can't keep it all inside. I want to jump with all my might. From the top of my head, way, way down to my toes. I can't keep it all inside. I want to dance with all my might. And everybody everywhere, raise your hands up in the air and say, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus is alive. And everybody everywhere, raise your hands up in the air and say, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus is alive. And everybody everywhere, raise your hands up in the air and say, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus is alive. And everybody everywhere, raise your hands up in the air and say, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus is alive. And everybody everywhere, raise your hands up in the air and say, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus is alive.
Welcome back, Super Friends. I'm glad you're back for our last week at Super Camp. My name's Luis. Let's do some super stretches to get ready for our task today. Everyone stand up. Yeah, you. I see you. Stand up. Stretch up to the sky. Real high. Now let's jump 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now reach down and touch your toes. Oh, that's it. Great stretches. You can sit back down now. Let's turn on our listening ear to get ready to hear about how Jesus performed miracles. One day, when Jesus was done teaching, he sent his friends across the sea on a boat. Jesus stayed back to pray by himself. In the middle of the night, Jesus decided to join his friends. Now, most people would decide to take a boat to meet them, or maybe they would swim, but not Jesus. No, he decided to walk out to the boat. You heard me right. He walked on water. Jesus' friends were hanging out in the boat when they saw something coming toward them above the water. They were scared. Can you show me your scared face? They thought they were seeing a ghost, but Jesus told them not to be afraid. Peter wasn't sure it was actually Jesus. He said, "If it's you, Jesus, tell me to come to you on the water." So Jesus told Peter to come on out. So pow! Peter stepped out of the boat onto the water and walked toward Jesus. Jesus made it so Peter could walk on water too. But then Peter saw the wind and waves and got scared. Show me your scared face again. Because he was scared, he started to sink. He called to Jesus, "Save me!" Jesus reached out and saved Peter. Jesus asked Peter why he doubted. Peter only needed faith. Then Peter and Jesus climbed into the boat, and all the disciples worshiped Jesus for his power. Super friends, we have one final task. Will anyone help me? I need a volunteer. Yeah, you in the pink cape. Come on up. What's your name?
Lydia.
Oh, that's a beautiful name. Are you ready for a challenge? Are you ready to perform a miracle?
Yes.
Okay, well, what I have here is this little guy here, and you're gonna need to help me have this guy walk on water just by letting him go and have them float on top of the water, just like Jesus did. But before we do that, safety first. Let's get this over here. There you go. Do you feel safe?
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, are you ready?
Yeah.
I need a countdown from you first. We're going to say 3, 2, 1, and go. Got it?
Yeah.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Here you go. Just see if you can make it float. Just drop them. Oh, blub, 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 blub. Maybe the bubbles. Okay, let's try it again. Let's try it again. Maybe if you lay him down, maybe he's just a horizontal floater. Well, not really. Do you think you completed the mission? Kinda. You did a good job. Let's hear it for our super friend. Zelia may not have been able to complete her task, but what is hard for you and me is easy for Jesus. Because that's what a miracle is. Something that could only be done with the power of God. Think about how heavy that action figure was. Now think about how heavy a person is. Not only did Jesus walk on water, but he also made Peter walk on water. Over and over, Jesus does what seems impossible. He feeds huge crowds of people, heals the sick, and walks on water. Each amazing thing Jesus does shows his power. And where does he get that power? Jesus has power to do anything because Jesus is the Son of God. Now that's a miracle.